Today is July 17th, 2025. The time is currently 6:43 p.m. The thing that I was going to do today, it was a narrative critique of Clair Obscura Expedition 33, a game that I haven't played, but it's a narrative critique. I've seen the narrative through RT Games playthrough. However, I watched it again and I was like, because I only watched it once, and I was gonna go, do my opinions still hold up to me actually thinking critically about it? And the answer is no. It is a good story. It's well told. However, there is one moment that I will heavily criticize, and it is a moment I believe where being a video game actively harms it. So, this video will contain spoilers for Clair Obscura Expedition 33, which I can't judge on gameplay, but it looks like it would be a fun game if you like the kind of thing. And it is a good story. But I'm going to spoil multiple things. First, I'm going to talk about what I think is probably the best moment in the story, which, spoilers now, is when the character who has been made to be the main character of Gustav dies fully. And I think that it is a very good use of it being a video game, intersecting with it as a story, because he has like a whole skill tree and abilities, because every character has their own mechanics, and he only lives for Act 1, and he has all of that, and I think that's a really incredible choice to make, because like normally you'd think, oh, this character is going to die, you wouldn't have that investment of like time and resources making those entire mechanics, all the balancing, but there is that, and so it comes as more of a surprise. However, what I think is the moment of the game that is most hampered by the fact that it is a game and not any other piece of art is directly related to his death. In the final act, the character Verso is asked by Mael, who is the actual main character, if he could have saved Gustav, and you get a pop-up that says yes, in parentheses, truth, no, in parentheses, lie. And I believe that that is such a misstep in how it is done. I think that it should have gone one of two ways. The first way is you don't have any control over what he says. He either says the truth or lies. Probably in that moment he would say the truth. It feels thematically like something that he would do in that moment. Or you give the pop-up that says yes and no without the truth and lie thing. Because giving away that one is definitely true takes away from the ability of the player, or just the consumer of the story, to think about what, like, if he's lying or not, if he's saying something to comfort Mael, because if he says no and you don't know that's the truth, then he says no. And also, that pop up would make it look like you are actively making a choice for him. I think that the pop up entirely shouldn't need to exist. Collecting my thoughts a bit. The main advantage of video games as storytelling over any other piece of any other medium is choices, is being able to make a lot of choices, which Clair Obscur doesn't really do. It is not a choice-based game. Instead, the story plays out, which I think the story itself would be better suited for something that is not a video game. One, because of this moment, and two, because of the one other choice that you can make, which I guess is my third criticism. I guess that will be I'm going to recap the story of the game real quick. So, a family of people that can paint worlds that live has a tragedy befall them. Their son dies, and the mother and the father, well, the mother goes to his last painting and tries to live in it, but the father goes into the painting as well and tries to make sure that she doesn't do that and she actually lives in reality. And the daughter, one of the daughters, who is Mael, her name's Alicia, don't worry about that, also goes into the painting. Within the world that is the painting, there's a figure called the Paintress. Every year she paints a new number that goes down on the thing. Anyone that's older than that is that age dies. That age or older, but you can't get older than that age, because you'll die. Every year, the people of Lumiere, which is the city that is there, send out an expedition to try to kill the Paintress. The players play as Expedition 33 members. They get to the Paintress, and then all of the stuff about the family is revealed, and that's the actual story. Well, yes. And it's kind of sprinkled throughout. Act 2. Act 1 is more solidly. Act 1 is. I quite like Act 1. Okay. So, that set up. Mael, who is the main character, has suffered horribly disfiguring burns as well as damage to her vocal cords, I believe, that have rendered her unable to speak in the real world. And she has lived her life in the painting now. And when she gets all of her memories back, she wants to stay in the painting. But her father doesn't, for obvious reasons. The final playable part of the game is the confrontation between Verso, who is Mael's brother, and Mael, in which Verso, it wants her to leave the canvas and she wants to stay. You are offered a choice between the two. Now, think about thematically what the story would be if you choose Mael. Because then, I believe, the story is about grief. And it's about not getting consumed by grief. I think that is the message. It is that things will be hard and they will be horrible, but you need to keep going. You cannot wallow in it. And that is sh- completely shredded by Miles' ending. It is a choice that actively harms what the story is saying. Because if you choose Mael, now I don't actually know if you choose Mael, if she'll stay. But I'm assuming you choose Mael and she stays in the canvas. What is that saying? What what message does that give? It says that you should stay in your grief, you should stay in the past, cling to whatever you can and don't move forward, just stagnate. I think overall it's a good story, but I don't think that you should be offered that choice. I think that either she should just come around naturally or you should have to play as Verso in that final fight. Um, there was going to be a lot more, but then I guess I'll end it on such a minor line nitpick. There's a really good line that's at the start of the game, which is, if you're going to give someone flowers, you should probably do it before they wither and die, referring to both the flowers withering and dying, and the person who Gustav is going to give the flowers to withering and dying. His response is, "What, the flowers are Sophie?" And I think that line is not good because it betrays what the actual what the line is asking. I think that he should fundamentally understand that it is about Sophie and not make that joke, even if it offers her some characterization. I think that it it doesn't give the audience, that's the word that I was looking for, enough leave to understand what is happening in the world and go, oh, that's why she said that. It's not referring to the flowers, it's referring to the person. Overall, though, good story and pretty good writing. I'm gonna have to figure something else out to do.